Hey, Schuler.
Sir.
Mail went to the office to print those rezonings.
Yeah.
You wanna wait a minute, you wanna go ahead and get started? And
We can go ahead and get started, we can make that work.
I want to welcome everybody here today, glad to see it all for many years.
All right, first item on the agenda is roll call, Gary Pearman. Gary's not here, he's having a kidney stone situation today. So, same winter occurs, he's okay. Got Mr. Lyons, Mr. Watson,
Here.
Ms. Colley,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Jenkins,
Here.
Dr. Acuff,
Present.
Mr. Pierce,
Here.
Ms. Deeds,
Present.
Ms. Collins,
Here.
and Mr. Arnold.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman. One thing I'd like to do for the adoption of the agenda, we're having troubles with the electronics here. Also, our Vice Chairman, Mr. Watson, will be controlling the meeting today. Next is the adoption of the agenda.
Make a motion to adopt.
Motion made by Ms. Collins,
I second.
seconded by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? No discussion noted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Mr. Chairman, that is unanimous. Next is approval of July 23rd, 2019 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Collins, Ms. Collins, seconded by Ms. Deeds. Y'all sit close together. This is my little big line. Any discussion? None noted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Mr. Chairman, that is unanimous. Okay, we're waiting on Matt, he'll be here in just a few minutes. Item number 5, the RV park is still postponed, waiting on the engineering reports. It should take us a little while.
Which one is that?
That's the one outside Pleasant Beach. On our clock. And I thought I heard a door. One item we can go into my director's report we can discuss is the MS store report for the year. Municipal stormwater report is something that's one of the unfunded mandates because of our office. It's an EPA project under the Clean Water Act, and it's controlled by the Tennessee Department of Environmental Conservation. Those of you who've been on the committee for a while have seen these every year. The key here is to keep any contaminants, illicit discharges, things of that nature out of our water systems here in Carter County, which may affect another neighbor or somewhere of that nature downstream. Some of the key situations we've had here this year that's been a big plus has been our, excuse me, my brain was with me for a second, I'm looking out here, is the public education outreach and involvement portion. And participation, we've been working naturally with auto shops, public maker shops, etc., things of that nature. But we have worked with some public events this year, it's really worked out well. Watauga Lake and tributary cleanup this year, Hampton Creek cleanup. I think Watauga Lake was just a little over 8 tons of debris that was taken away out of Watauga and its tributaries, in which we were lucky this year. The lake was up pretty high, so we could really get into the shoreline. The Hampton Creek cleanup was another large cleanup. I think it was
Hampton Creek was 8.5.
8.5 tons of cleanup there on that drain area.
Watauga is 4, it says correct.
Sir?
Watauga says 4.
Okay, I missed it. She had me right. She just corrected me with 8.5. And then we had the Doe River cleanup, which wasn't as productive this year as it normally is. That goes in the trout unlimited, and then we have Todd Harbison cleanup is also attracted to that. We had bad weather and, just really, really hard time to get pistons up there this year. So hopefully next year we'll do better. And so we're looking at about 2 tons of this reporting cleanup. Now there's some on Hampton Creek and on the, Wapaga Lake, that probably was not reported, especially the ones that, individuals put their own bass boats and their pond tables out. They get the bags of garbage and they bring them back down and they take the garbage out themselves instead of having to go back to the boat docks or the loading ramps and exchange that into the dump, which is a big plus of. But as far as keeping up with the tonnage, that's where we stand. I think that's pretty decent amount of revenues to be taken away from them. Any questions or concerns dealing with the MS4 reports? None noted. I'll have Mr. Kerr sign this and we'll send it on to PDEC tomorrow. If I bring it down, I'll send it back. Sir? Now, he's signed, so that's the one on the stress. So that was done. All right, let's go back to item number 4, the rezone request for the Doe River Gorge Christian Camp to Doe River Gorge Road. I think it's handed out the maps to everyone. If you'll look at the top of your header, it says parcel 066 030.00. Everything that's highlighted in that area is now owned by Doe River Gorge Christian Camp. That is the properties, and it's zoned, mainly zoned agricultural, A1, A1B. If you'll look at the parcel that ends with 22.00, this is the properties, these 2 highlighted properties are the properties that were purchased just recently by Doe River Gorge from McLeod Lumber Company. This right now is zoned M1 manufacturing, M2, I apologize, M2 heavy manufacturing, and is being rezoned to a B2 status. There will be a continuance of the log yard there for a few more years by contract on the purchase of the property. We're not allowed really to say what's going on there right now, but it's something that's going to be very attractive to our community. To be very tourism based and hopefully brings lots of people in to spend money here in our beautiful county. After looking at the options that we had here, D2 would be the final rezone, and that is to include all of the parcels owned by our Christian camp here, Doe River Gorge Christian Camp.
So both of them's going to B2?
The complete properties, all properties are going to B2. Everything will be going to B2.
And you said the logging or the sawmill will continue for another?
The sawmill hasn't ran in several years. The log yard is still in operation, right?
Okay.
It's changed, different people running, things of that nature.
Man, I read that.
Yes, Mr. McLeod has passed. And then I think another individual that had a hold of it was operating from there, he passed away too.
Yes.
And then Mr. Carr ran it for a little while, and a couple of other ones have ran it. But staff recommends the rezone request.
Chris, does this property to the east, is that owned by them too?
It's this highlighted property here, sir? Or this little, which map are you on?
30?
Right here,
22.
so where that house is.
Yeah, that's the barn there, that they keep the horses and stuff in. Yeah, that is part of all this right here. And I apologize for the screen not working. I think it kind of screwed us up the other night, county commission too, I was fixed. But that's federal government land. The next piece of property over is the Gregory property. And this is federal government here, which is both these areas here across the river. Those are the the watershed areas for the Elizabeth and Hampton Springs.
Make a motion that we rezone.
Have a motion by Ms. Collar,
Second.
second by Ms. Collins, beat you to it.
Chris, I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
So just, I mean, there's no problem with us rezoning it this early and it's still continuing to log or whatever.
Yeah, that's no problem. It's agricultural use is allowed.
That's an allowed use in B2 also.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, we make sure it's covered all the way around.
Now,
You clear?
yeah,
Good.
now, just if a deal fell through and they continue to do it for 5 more years, they can still be
We
okay.
do need to check this one. I have a motion made by Ms. Culler, second by Ms. Collins. Any further discussions? None noted, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Mr. Chairman, that is unanimous. And once again, we're postponed on number 5, which we've already covered. The next object of our attention will be the Jack Hampton report.
All right, for August, we wrote 12 new residentials, and that totaled $10,886. We did 3 residential addition permits, which totaled $1,421. 8 accessory buildings, which was $370. 2 pools at $100. 1 modular, which was $1,367. 2 manufactured homes, which totaled $75. 3 commercials, which totaled $5,614. No agricultural, 3 stormwaters, which totaled $325. 1 certificate of occupancy, which was $50. 1 of the rezoning requests, which was $150. We did 8 business licenses for $40. We had 35 archive fees, which totaled $175. Total permits wrote were 44. Our electric permits, we wrote 72. They totaled $5,600 to the state, 360 stayed here. And that total permits written for counting electric is 116. And your all's total on here was 20,933. That actually is wrong. It actually was 21,005. The 72 electric permits were actually in the total. So we took those out. And I have a corrected sheet right here, if you guys want to see it.
So that number should be 20,900.
Oh, I'm sorry, 933, yes, I'm sorry.
20,900? 933.
And that's for the month.
How's this month shaping up, Chris?
Well, now for the total for the year, for this month, I did not look at September. I have wrote a lot of building permits, and we actually have another one coming in tomorrow for residential new. I don't know exactly, I'm not 100% sure yet where we're at. I haven't looked at them. But it's been really busy. And then for the year total, we've got $38,043 so far for July and August only.
And your total on there at 37,868, that should be 38,043. And on the archive fee for July is 130, for August is 175. It's just got 130 for the year-to-date total. That should be 305 on that line for the total of 38,043.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns? Looks like we're wrapping up for a pretty good year, fiscal year coming. We still have a few cell towers floating around discussing putting up, so that'll be some big money coming back into the general fund. No questions noted. Next on the report will be a code enforcement officer's report. Good luck, Jay.
So, a quick, I don't guess any of y'all can see like Superman, so I can just turn it in. We had a stop work order up on Bridge Street across from the property that I've actually had litter code issue on. They tried to they tried to buy a storage building and make a hair salon out of it. So we had to put a quick nix to that. And as Mel said in his discussion last month, storage sheds don't have occupancy, so that's not allowed. And I've actually talked to the lady and she's gonna figure out something. We've had some stormwater issues, but without pictures, it's kind of hard to kind of give you an idea. On August 21st, I had 12 properties, or 12 addresses before the Chancery Court, 9 different property owners. Actually, yesterday would have been their 30 days that he gives them to comply with his judgment. We received a judgment on all but 1. And of those 8 property owners, 7 of them I feel will be held in contempt of court for not following the judge's order. I'm not sure what it takes to get people to listen. Starting with up at Buck Creek, 252 Buck Creek, the one, I don't know if you remember, it was the little mini dump that they stuffed trash in. I went up there yesterday, talked to the lady that owns it, there's trash still everywhere. And she
Where's
had
that?
Do what?
Where's that?
Buck Creek is the top of Rome, or almost at the end of Rome Mountain, going to North Carolina.
The upper end of the.
It's,
That's where we're nurse.
there's like a little miniature mini dome.
It's called a Quonset hut.
That's how we define it, but they had trash filled all in the bottom and it's still there. Bridge Street, owned by the Great family, judgment was placed, and he has actually added a camper. All the mess is still there, and he's added a camper to the property, so I don't know what we're gonna do with him. I had to send the state fire marshal up there, Larry Craddock, because they were running power to his trailer from a temporary pole with 2 extension cords. And Larry Craddock was disappointed in me for not explaining the situation very well and who he might find up there. But he's going to have that shut off, so they're going to have to do something soon. I have talked with the Grays and told them what they need as far as permitting goes, as far as proof of septic goes, and I don't know that we'll ever get much
Well,
out of it.
and we can't issue a permit for it because it's campers. They're living full-time in a camper. You can't live in a camper full-time. Now they've added another camper in. Now he's running it, with one, it's real iffy on whether or not it's campground. But if you have a piece of property and you put a camper on it and that camper is rented to someone else, per the campground resolutions, that is a campground. Now he's added another one, so now it's in violation twice for being a campground.
Also, 2051 Siam Road, for those of you that have driven on Siam Road, is a vacant white house that has fallen down. The judge dismissed that case because we cannot get service on somebody that's responsible for it. I have no idea what the next step may be. I talked to Josh. We're trying to figure out what options we have. That may be one where we seek permission as a county to go and demolish, burn, fix, do something. I have no idea what to do with it. But we could not get service on anyone responsible for it, according to our attorney, so I'm kind of stymied on it. But it is definitely an eyesore, and it is slightly dangerous because it's in a curve in Siam and the grass is over my head. And you all know how tall I am, so you know the grass is tall. Did have a couple 48-hour notices this month, Parham Street in Hampton, Mill Pond, there's a trailer park that we're trying to clean up a little bit, and then one for Cobalt Lane in this Biltmore community. I wanted to show you all pictures, and if we can do this, maybe you can come up and talk. Billy Joe Miller, who one of our first court cases, the one that the judge actually sentenced him to contempt and took him for a night in prison, or in jail, and on work on furlough. His property is in bad shape, in my opinion. one that we could take back to the judge. Our attorney urges me otherwise, and I would like for you all to look at it. I have no way, I mean, if you could, we could figure out a way to get, you all to come up and look at it real quick and give me your opinion on if you think this is back into a situation where it's messy again, or messy enough for action. But one thing I wanted to request of you guys, I know I get a lot of complaints about vehicles, and right now there is absolutely nothing I can do about vehicles, whether they work or not, according to the attorney. And his suggestion would be to try to pass a resolution that states exactly how many inoperable vehicles an individual is allowed to have and what we can do with that. Chancellor Rambo and I had a conversation about Washington County, who allows you to have 3 inoperable vehicles. Any more than that, and it's a zoning issue, becomes a junkyard and they can take care of it. We don't, as far as I know, and as far as what Josh told me, aren't able to do that. And I don't know what else, I don't know what to do as far as that goes, because I know a lot of complaints I get from not only you guys, but from general population is usually they got a lot of junk cars parked. And from what I've been told by the attorney, there's nothing I can really do about it.
Ma'am,
I thought there was a limit on how many you could have that wasn't tagged.
there is, as far as the zoning, they're bringing in the environmental court right now. Josh has to fill in the chancellor, which is what Jay's talking about. The chancellor is working with us to alleviate that problem. Chancellor, yes, sir.
Mr. Director, what's the difference between their regulation and ours? The difference in why they can enforce and we can't. Do we need to update? Do we need to rewrite to bring it into where it can be compliant?
Yes, sir, and that's what Jay, speaking of the chancellor, discussed that with us.
Yeah, that seems to be,
More with that.
that seems to be the general consensus, is to add that to what we have. Maybe not in the litter code, maybe another resolution that allows us to do that, but I get a lot of complaints about cars and I really can't touch them. I don't, untagged, yeah, there is a limit, but they can tag these things that don't run. And technically, if it's untagged, it's inoperable because you can't get it on the street. So it's a weird, I can do anything with litter, but like this Billy Joe Miller has, how many cars did he have in his parking lot?
13.
At 13 vehicles, and I bet you 2 of them work, but I can't touch it. I can only touch the trash.
What was the number that Chancellor Rambo said?
Rambo said in Washington County, they allow 3 inoperable vehicles. And then he said you can enforce that by actually going to the property owner and say, start that. And if they can't start it, it's inoperable and it's a junkyard, then you can do it. 3 would be a good number to me because that gives people an opportunity to work on vehicles as a hobby, but not make a big mess. I know Jerry Smith knows one on Siam that's moved a little bit, that's had several cars. And everybody's talked to me, not everybody, but a lot of y'all have had complaints about vehicles, and I just think we need to push some legislation so I can do something.
And there's some other things that we probably need to address. Like there's a house up on Gap Creek Road that's got a bunch of who knows, junk. You drive through there, it looks like junk. It's all sitting in front of the house. If we're going to allow 3 junk cars, then, there has to be a lot of different things have to be defined. For example, residentially zoned, R1, R2, R3. You got a 15,000 square foot lot, and they've got 3 junk vehicles on it that they're not working on. If somebody has 1 or 2 cars, and you can clearly see that they're working on them, or have an intent to work on them, I don't think anyone would ever have a complaint to that. But then places that we have, like, what's the road up there?
Which road?
Long Hollow. The one that's
Bramer. Yeah, Bramer.
Yeah, Browner. They've got 3 or 4 junk vehicles sitting in what should be the front yard of the trailer. The trailer sits about the distance off the road to be able to park a car, and they've just got them lined up through there.
I also have pictures of that.
Per zoning definitions, that trailer has a front yard. That needs to be itemized in there that these junk vehicles have to be behind the structure. You know, that solves a lot of complaints right there. You know, that's when we get complaints is when they're sitting at the road or sitting partially into the road. You know, and it's not that they've got them sitting there, it's where they're sitting and how unsightly they look. Then we've got one picture on here down off of Water Plant Road, you know, another one of these pieces of property that's been out of compliance for years. They've got a car with no tires on it. The front of the vehicle is sitting on jack stands. The back of the vehicle is laying on a telephone pole.
That's why I'm really bummed out this isn't working, because this is actually very interesting.
So they basically took the tires off and dropped the car. So they, you know, they have no intent of doing anything with that car anytime soon.
Well, if Washington County has been effective with their resolution over there, according to Chancellor Rambo, why couldn't we, Chris, to kind of tailor, or look at that resolution in Washington County and tailor ours similar to that in terms of all the details like Mel's talking about?
Yeah.
To try to include the whole problem.
And you gotta realize, they're about 9 years ahead of us, if not 10 or 11, so yeah. We're going through the same growing things that they did. What's bad is we don't have as many contacts over there as we used to have because of the changes in the yard over there. So we are working on all that, we'll get squared away.
I think
And we before the county commission for,
I think we could do a resolution, that's what it sounds like you need, and get it to the commission. To make sure we get all the details in there that you need, I guess.
Matt,
I hate to ask you to go back to while I was out, I received a phone call about this beauty shop at Roe Mountain, apparently that was the first thing you talked about.
Yeah.
Trying to review that so I can.
There was they had, and Mel and Kristen found it, but put it on here, because I actually talked to the lady that put it there. Basically, it's what, a 12 by 26 shed maybe, that they have tried to, that actually the company that sold her the storage building made it special for her to have a beauty salon inside of it. So I guess he might have cut holes for plumbing for a sink and whatever is required in beauty salons. My wife cuts my hair in the kitchen, so I have no idea what they need. But so that I've talked to her about it. You might be able to see it, you might not. She put, you know, a big sign on the front for a beauty salon. We talked, said, you know, in a storage unit that's made for storage. As far as ICC codes go, the occupancy, what is the occupancy code on a?
It's a U occupancy, which is utility, which is for storage.
Not for people.
We actually had the same thing at Penny Pincher. They put in a storage shed, and you know, same, but both of them, they had no permit. The one on Bridge Street, they put the building in, it's in flood zone. Part of the building may be in the floodway. They did, you know, that requires paperwork through FEMA. It has to be done, it's not an option. The storage buildings as they're built do not meet building codes for anything other than storage. One of the big builders of these things, they actually have that on the front page of their website, that they do not meet building codes for anything other than storage. The utility occupancy, and then if you look at the picture, they've got this thing built up off the ground about 3 feet. That requires ADA access. Commercial building is a commercial building. It doesn't matter if you're building a Walmart or, you know, a little storage hair salon for one person to use. It has to meet all of those codes. It has to meet the accessibility requirements. You know, so then as part of that accessibility requirements, you know, you gotta have bathroom facilities. I didn't look anything at what the state requires for a beauty salon, but that's an entire another inspection that they would have to pass. And, you know, the number one thing is it was done with no permit.
Thank you.
And the person that owns that land should have known that, because he's been in the office complaining about the neighbor at the court. So it's a fun, it's a big funny situation, but it is something.
But it's just across the city. The street.
But that's all I have.
What, did you want us to look at that?
If you, I mean, I don't want
We
to,
can pass it.
I don't know if we need to,
And we can't unplug it.
we can't unplug it because it'll die.
But I mean,
Oh, sit better.
do you need action from us, right?
But I don't know if I need action as much as just your opinion. Obviously, we can vote for me to tell Josh that I want to take this back for contempt, or he'll do it if I ask him to. But I told him I would ask you guys what you thought.
What was his reasoning for not wanting?
Well, he said, so he started to, he's got 3 or 4 washing machines, 2 of which are in the back of a truck. None of them seem like they work. Some of the vehicles, one of the vehicles that the judge asked him to remove, he did, but he put the junk from it into a different one that he left.
You don't want to give up the job.
So,
Metal prices are down.
and he has a lot of untagged vehicles, things just sitting in the yard.
What's that address again?
That's 2235 Elizabethan Highway. We can't really do anything as far as some of the structural issues with this house, but it's not in too good a shape either, as far as litter code goes. It might be something.
And there's a little storage, one of the little metal storage shed buildings on the property that if the doors were open on it, I almost guarantee you the trash would just fall out the door.
I mean, what's your opinion? Should we take it back?
My opinion is that we should. Or I'll go look at it one more time before I were to do that. But I told Josh I would have you guys take a peek. I didn't realize this would be out still, and see what you think, because you all are the ones that made the litter resolution to begin with. And do we want to do that? I showed the pictures to Melissa Moreland, which this is, kind of irrelevant, but she said she would take him back. But she's not.
Still got it pulled up.
Yeah, and if you want to come up and look at it.
We've seen it, we've said through those ago, so I don't know why we wouldn't.
if
Well, I think we hired Jay to do the job, and if he thinks it needs to go back,
I agree.
let it go back. I don't even think.
you- This is the vehicle.
Make that as formal
He had
motion,
another
Mr. Arnett.
I do, sir.
with all
Have a
the
motion by Mr. Arnett,
lose the truck and just put
and
it back.
second by Ms. Keller, to take this back to the county attorney for contempt.
I will do one more check on the property before I take it back, in case he's moved the washers and all the other trash.
I would agree with Jay on that.
Gonna make the assumption
The only
that
bad thing, it puts us 30 more days of people driving by there. So what we can do, if it is squared away, then you can report next month. If that makes sense.
yeah.
So I have a motion and a second. Take this into contempt unless it's cleaned up by miraculous movements.
Which this is the same guy who,
Went to jail, right?
well, yeah, but I was taking pictures of his house the morning before court for February, and he had it cleaned the very next morning. To a degree, clean. Yeah. So I gave him 6 months, and then he cleaned it in 6 hours. So,
Any further discussion on 2235 Elizabeth Highway, contempt court? None noted. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Pretty sure that's unanimous. What else you got, Jay?
that's all.
That's all for this time.
Wait,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jay, did you have a chance to check out 195 River Road?
I did,
They're living in that camper.
they are living in, so it's something that we talk about, Mel and I talk probably ad nauseum, is campers, and how are we going to enforce campers? You are allowed to live in a camper. How do we enforce timing on it? Was there one camper or 2 on the lot?
One, last time I rode my bike.
Okay, that's what I thought. The reason I didn't really stop and get a lot of pictures is they were sitting on the front yard,
Yeah,
kind of just having a
They are.
hangout session, so I just let it
Pretty
go.
good.
Campers are complicated.
It's a very complicated issue, and we get complaints on campers a lot. Oh, they're living in this camper, you know, this, that, the other. It's hard to enforce the state law of 180 days. It's hard for me to tell them you can't do that when technically they can for a certain amount of time. We don't do permits on campers. Maybe it's something we look
Well,
into so we know.
But we sort of do permits on campers. If someone comes and then says that they want to build a house, and they want to put a camper on their property and live in the camper while they're building the house, that is a temporary use. That is the only thing campers are legal for in the state of Tennessee. All of these places in Sevierville, wherever, where they've got campers sitting there and people are living in it year-round, they're illegal.
It's just like over in Walton.
Okay, Fish Springs Boat Dock. They shut that campground down in October. They turn off the electricity, they drain all the water lines. That is, their campground is a temporary use. So then we get into our campground resolution that covers anything that is put in new involving a camper. It also, to a degree, covers existing campgrounds. If there's a campground and they have 10 spots and they want to add one more spot to that campground, they have to meet all the regulations as close as possible to the campground resolution as it's written. Then, so then to live on a piece of property that does not have a house on it in a camper, per state law, per building codes, my opinion is it's not legal. If the building codes apply to every building that is built or moved into this county. So when you move a camper, those building codes apply to it. They don't apply to the structure as it's built, but they apply to how you're using that building. Manufactured homes are sort of the same thing. Manufactured homes are built in a factory with a state inspector inspecting them, then a state inspector inspects the installation of the structure. Once that structure is installed, they have to come get a permit first. The structure is installed, and then anything that's done additional, for example, porches and steps, we inspect. Because it's not part of that structure that was built at the factory. RVs are built in a factory, they get a decal on them says it is a recreational vehicle. There are some RVs, the park models, that fall into that, they're recreational vehicles, but they're intended for a long-term use. The camper on Bridge Street in particular, the state electrical inspector looked at it. He said it appeared to him to be a manufactured home. It cannot be a manufactured home because it's sitting on tires. Manufactured homes are installed and the wheels must be taken off of them as part of the installation. So there's a whole lot of gray area. Everything will be a case by case basis. But someone living in a camper, if that camper was on that property before 1998 when zoning took effect, then it may be a different story. More than likely, that one hasn't been there 21 years.
There's a house there.
So that is an illegal use.
The other one was up Sam's Hill, the first one on the right. I had a question about it. Did you get a chance to look at it?
Coming off of
Long Hollow, the first one on the right.
Yeah,
coming off Long.
not actually on Long Hollow.
Well, it's just, all right.
It's in the fort, right?
Yeah, and it's right there. It's the first house on Sam's Hill, what would it get?
Up on the left or on the right?
On the right.
Okay.
I don't know, Lunsford's house, two houses up from Lunsford's house.
We had one there that was the garbage and stuff.
Yeah, I've looked at, I'd have to look at what I've
There's some
got.
trailer. I don't know the address right off the top of my
Yeah.
head, so.
And one of the worst problems on stuff like that is we have a serious enforcement issue on it. We can write letters all day long, and you know, the one on Bridge Street, I ended up with 10 pages on it where I went through the codes and identified all the specific reasons on why that building can't be used as a hair salon. But if they refuse to follow the letter that we send, then we're right back where we used to be with litter code and an enforcement issue. We've got to be able to find these people. You know, step one is they'll put fines on them and be able to force those fines to be paid.
And to cover one of those things where Brad speaks, you know, there's some of this that will end up taking to General Sessions Court, non-environmental court. So you've got to keep those two courts separated on where we stand there. That makes sense. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson, sir.
Some of, just turn the light bulb on, some of these things that we're sending letters to, we're trying to take enforcement. If we don't have rules, that's ridiculous. Now, go the other way. If it's becoming a problem and there's more and more of it driven by such things as economics, I don't know if you can classify disabilities, but the economic part of it where people are using the campers and all that, sit down and write your instructions out. Let's get some form of regulations in our county to where we have something to back us up when we have to take action.
Exactly. We've got the machete out. We've been cutting all the brush right now, so we are working towards that. The same as in the environmental court and all the other aspects. So hopefully
There is a lot of them, but then too, you remember, there's a lot of things that goes along with that neck wheel. It's got a lot of spokes. Number one, we're a poor county. We have a lot of people that's, you know, that's under, income is under, what's in poverty level. And I'm going to say the poverty level right. We need to make sure if we're going to enforce it and we're going to work it, we have regulations and rules to cover our backsides and also give the public guidance in case they have to be confronted with that problem. It's not very hard. And it is hard to decide between recreational vehicle and all that, but it is.
Well, and a lot of the instances we're finding is people that are buying property and then they want to, and this is an actual instance, they put a camper in that we didn't know they were living in, and then we found out they were living in a camper, then they decided that they wanted to buy a storage building and put plumbing in it, and then eventually live in it. And we told the lady she can't do that, then she came back the next day wanting to know about putting a single wide trailer on.
And
You know,
just
so most of these people, money's not an issue.
And just for clarification, all these within 5 counties, I think it was, or within 50 miles, can't remember. But all these storage places, Leonard's and all these other, they've all been notified months and months, actually twice in the last 2 years they've been notified that they're not a living structure and please do not sell these and so.
And like what I talked about somebody wants to build a house, we can issue temporary permits for campers. Then, you know, then not the 911 office knows there's a camper on that property with somebody living in it. That's one of the main concerns is for the safety of everybody, not only the people that are living there, but when our emergency responders have to go. You know, we can do a temporary permit. 6 months later, we could renew that temporary permit because there's an intent involved on everything. You know, because people come in and they say that they want to put in a storage building, and you know, they'll just, without us asking anything, they want to put in a 10 by 20 storage building, and they want to put a sink in it. And they're asking if that's okay. Yes, that is okay. But at some point it becomes it's not okay because, you know, then if they want to put a sink in, then they want to add bathroom, then they want to add a kitchen, then they want to add a bunk bed up in a loft to sleep in. now we have well past the purpose of that as an accessory building for storage. You know, a lot of people have little sheds that they, you know, do their little hobby, whatever, work in. They go in the house at night, go in.
We can make them put up trailer, John, we just pull up to them, put them up for over. That's out there.
He's all correct. Any further questions, concerns? What I gathered from this is that we'll go ahead and revisit 195 River Road on the camper. And as we did do, we're going to work on the brakes for the campers and also brakes on cars, not brakes on campgrounds, but actually physical campers and leaving it parcel number of amount of tagged vehicles. To work that through, that we can get through environmental or whatever we do to satisfy the Chancellor Grant. And hopefully I'll have this in this to general session.
Well, how is that working from that side? I'm not working anything going to session.
That's what we'll have to take in session, but, the judge pretty much said, if you put a stop work on and they keep on working, just have Josh bring them on.
Well, it just by half, if you put a stop work, you just liable, under authority, you just liable the county or your, whoever pays your check. There better be somebody to protect it, because if it was an unlawful shutdown, you get yourself in a tremendous amount of trouble.
Right, and we're very, very conservative on placing those.
Chris, we had a town hall meeting last night, and a couple of things got brought up about the ordinance from the county. You think it's ever going to be possible?
It's hard enough for a municipality to do a noise ordinance.
I mean, Joyce Treadway was there, and she.
Now, I've been by there multiple times.
Me too.
And, as far as I know, as of about 3 weeks ago, all that nonsense has stopped. Does she agree with that?
No.
I cannot help it because I have been by there multiple times and I've spoken to other neighbors. And they said it's no resolution.
Well, one of the complaints I came from one of the local constables and saying that they get complaints, people running chainsaws at 2 or 3 in the morning, and, you know.
I have not heard that in the last 3 weeks.
Not around Joyce, not around that area, but just throughout the county.
Doc and I have encountered a property on Little Stony Creek Road that has a business permit as a sawmill, which is the A1A, it's allowed. And the lady that's complaining lives right next door. I think it should be zoned more residential. But he's running his chainsaws from dusk to dawn. And he's not really doing a sawmill. He's got gigantic trees in his front yard. I don't know what he's doing. But it's hard to, and that would have been on this presentation as well, had the screen working, but I have pictures if you'd like to look at it too.
You know, that's a nuisance. That's something that's neighbor against neighbor. They'll have to take that up. And what I always tell them, call 911, document it. If he gets out there, have him document it. Whether he just knows or actually physically writes a report. And, eventually that will be taken care of. That's kind of
Oftentimes they take it, just as in these cases here, they won't come before some organized body, planning commission, county commission, whatever, when they want you to do their dirt work, rather, they have the right to go over and take the legal documents to cure that problem.
Exactly. And
And that's a shame if they don't, but they try to let you do theirs for them, so sometimes I don't have those things.
Exactly. But there's personal responsibilities as a landowner and as a citizen of the United States, you have the ability to do that, constitutional right to take care of that. So without being placed in governmental bodies, you can deal with your own personal problems. Any further discussion on code enforcement? None noted. Next is director's report. We've already covered MS4. Next is the Recovered Soldiers Ministry. I went, and actually I still have my HIPAA, it's still good. So from the federal government, and I went in and looked, presented him with the information. I went through their records. I sat down several different occasions since the last meeting. And went through his tenant leases on the properties that they had on Piedmont Street. First thing covering the Recovered Soldier Ministries, which is operates in building. And it is a 12-month program. It is the accepted program. I don't think it's every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You have to be completely off of your addiction, whether it's alcoholism, marijuana, whatever your addiction are. You have to be completely 110% off of it. You can't be taking Suboxone, and there's 2 or 3 other drugs they take to combat that, which is just another, basically, as Mr. Scout stated to me, it's just another crutch. It's just another addiction they get into. I went through all that, looked at their information. You know, Tennessee Department of Corrections, they love it. They're basing it as a good therapeutic way to relieve that addict, get him away for 12 months, away from the people that's probably causing a lot of that, which we all know, if you're around a bad crowd, you're going to keep a bad crowd. Went through all those paperwork. As far as sex, we'll go to Piedmont Street. As far as sex offenders, I found none. That was there. I went through all the information, Tennessee Religious Restoration Act, which gives them ADA status, basically, in the state of Tennessee, and pretty much it's a national rule and regulations. I did inspections every time. I walked in, walked around, went up late in the evenings, and to the property, looked at the properties, looked at other properties they were considered. The place on Piedmont Street is not a transitional housing. And really, the Recovered Soldier Ministry isn't a transitional housing. If they get tested for nicotine, all the main drugs out there and other portions that would cause that rejected from the ministry. Now, once that 12 months is up, they've been clean, everything's good to go, they have the opportunity, if they can find a job here local, which a lot of these gentlemen have. And hopefully, eventually, there will be females here too, once this gets going very well. But we'll see how that turns out. But then they have the opportunity for $300 a month, basically to lease a place to live. Utilities paid, the whole 9 yards. They have to maintain a job, they have to maintain their status as it says, a good Christian, a good citizen of the United States. Then there's a little 5-page packet of code of conduct requirements for these individuals. And it's pretty extensive. I did not make copies of this. I didn't think you all would really be that concerned. But it lays pretty stiff rules and regulations. It's kind of like getting back into the military. Your basic training all over again to become a citizen of the United States and be able to act like it. There's things that they can't do. Approved visitors only. So if I was there and say I wanted the individual to come up, I have to have his name, address, age, the whole 9 yards, so they can make sure that he's not a sex offender or something of that nature. They can have no cigarettes, no nicotine of any kind, no chewing tobacco, go crazy. They can't be vaping, can't be dipping. They do get tested for that. And that's immediate termination from their lease. They sign this lease and it's notarized on them. They have a 9:30 p.m. curfew for visitors. After that, those individuals got to be out of there. And it is checked, because I did go around one day and, I can't even think of his name, Tall Lake.
Ben,
Ben, Mr. Cole, he was coming from back there, so I actually passed him, so they are checking. If they leave on vacation, they have to give them a whole itinerary where they're going, what's going on, what's happening. They're allowed internet and cable, but it's also monitored. So if there's any crazy stuff, they can't have any vacant cars or junk or scrap or nothing like that laying around the properties. And the key here is they're subject to search and cleanliness of the inspections of their homes that they're leasing. So it's pretty tightly ran. I was very satisfied with it.
Is this a non-profit?
Yes, sir, it is a nonprofit. And they have to be a graduate. It can't be any Tom, Dick, or Harry coming off the street. It has to be a graduate of this program. To get on the street. Yes, sir. And I was pretty interested in looking into it and some of the people that are coming into this program without even mentioning any names. And some of these people have been out of the correctional facilities for a year or so and are slipping back. And of course, a lot of these individuals are taking the standard medical treatments, you know, Suboxone, Claritin, what all that other stuff is. And it's really not helping. You're getting a lot of, it's funny, a lot of grandparents and great-grandparents that are dragging these boys through, and I'm not talking just local, I'm talking down the country. And their ability to get in this program, they have to be accepted. And there's other programs out there to get them off of those drugs that are supposed to be, I think it calls, is it stabilizer drugs? Is that what they call them, Brad, or Bob? These stabilizer drugs, which is really interesting. It's a whole different ballgame way out there. Some, you know, Southeast Asia type stuff. Not Canes living around, that's what you're thinking, but I'm talking about other stuff. But it's very interesting, so I'm more than satisfied that there's nothing going on there wrong. They meet the criteria, the regulations that we have, they meet the criteria, the state regulations. If we really start digging deep, then we'll have to dig in a lot of different places in Carter County. That's what cause other problems, and we also have to say something.
at the last meeting, I said that that they had an existing non-conforming use because they had 2 trailers on one piece of property.
Yes.
That is incorrect. According to the deed, that is 2 different tracts of land. So it is just, it's a correct existing use. There is nothing there to be non-conforming. 1 trailer on one tract, 1 trailer on the other tract.
And those were previously owned by a certain individual here in the county that they're 10 times better looking and operational than what they were.
So, as far as Harrison Road, they meet all the zoning
Right.
and setbacks and.
It meets, it's all the criteria of what we've got now. If something was to happen with the apartment, yeah, we'd probably try to see if we can't manipulate it back further, you know, to meet the criteria of regulation.
Mr. Chu, I happened to go to church with 4 of these individuals and have for about 8 months. You can see these 4 individuals and how they changed their life and turned their life around. I don't have a problem with one of them being my neighbor. So these 4, that's only, I can only speak to these 4 individuals. And I'd rather have them than some of the ones I have. But they're trying. And I think it's a misjustice to.
Well, it was brought up as a problem, you checked it out, I appreciate the thoroughness and how you done it. Sounds
I think it's a misjustice on these people that's trying and trying to do better, and everybody picking at them. Hey, I made my mistakes. I made a lot of them. I should be probably where some of them's at, but
Thank you, Chris.
But I think they deserve a chance.
I was extremely impressed with the whole program. And I'll tell you right now, when it first started coming into effect, several years ago, when Mr. Scout started talking to me, I'm sitting here going, it ain't gonna work, it ain't gonna work. I mean, I'm telling you straight up, and I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. And the more I have seen of this, the more I've been around it, the more things I see them doing in the community. Is it aggravation for those neighbors up there? Yeah, I'd say it could be. Is it aggravation because they don't know those individuals? I say it probably is. But how many of us have had new neighbors move in and we've never spoken to them? I have. And I've tried, but it is what it is. But I will continue to monitor this, just the very simple fact when it has came up. And that's just, makes it easy to work with, easy to deal with.
One other question on here, I'm sorry, but you said there was no sex offenders. Is that just
That's people on the street, man.
recent, or has it been in the past? I mean, was they?
I went back through, I couldn't find any prior to. You got sex offenders all around you every day that we don't know about.
That's right.
I mean, Brad.
That orange is full of.
But you know what I'm saying, I mean, there could be as easy as, my 17-year-old daughter was with an 18-year-old. That happens every day, and guess what, they are registered as sex offenders. So, but that's neither here nor there, that's the morality of the legalities of the system. And, I'll keep monitoring this and, keep watch on when they change, individuals up there, I'll keep an extra eye.
I appreciate you going the extra mile, and I know it's been brought up in full condition twice now, so thank you, I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.
And everything, almost everything that was brought up in front of the commission was bad information. It is, it's.
Even though it's
not-
bad information.
Let me
It's
rephrase
bad
that.
information, but Chris checked it out.
It
Now we
is.
can say,
It's incorrect information. When they're talking about the zoning regulations and they're referencing, Nashville's and Sevier County and other stuff, and the person complaining doesn't want to, we've tried to explain it to her. She doesn't want to hear that from us.
So that's the situation we're in. I hope it, we've got several county commissioners sitting here, so I hope that if it comes back up for you guys, you can handle it. Any further discussion on RSM, recovery supplementary insurance? None noted. Next is the minutes that you requested, Mr. Lyons.
I'm sorry,
The minutes you requested last month, sir? On the approval?
from Mr. Pearman,
Sir?
the minutes, but I asked Mr. Pearman, he said.
Yeah, you asked me for it. That's still Bill. Yeah, we got it right here. And, I highlighted this information to the Red Star side of it. Ray, this was during the time period that you were broke down, after the meeting, you changed the somebody. And then, of course, you turn to the second page, lower right, and the top page, that's where Randall, that situation happened with you. And then we moved down to the motions that were made, things of this nature. And then the last is recovery of that funds. Of course, every voice that was put in, or every word. And then, as far as the stipulations of the situation that we're in, whether it was to meet the criteria of the agreement that was made, or whether it was a bonus, it was never considered a bonus until financial director moved it from payroll line items to a bonus line item. Did he have the right to do that? No. Did he request the right to do it for this year? Yes. Was that granted? Yes. Did he meet with me and tell me that he was going to move those line items? No, he did not. Did he meet with the chairman? No, he did not. And that's the situation we're in. Did he make a mistake? Yes, he did. He admitted it. I understand. Yes, sir. So I hope this information will help y'all out some on that. And the reason that it was called a bonus is because that came directly out of the financial office.
I think what I was questioning, Chris,
Sir?
I think what I was questioning, did this board or this commission approve the bonus? And did they approve the letter that Mr. Pearman sent to the finance director? I don't see anywhere, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can press up again as well. I don't see anywhere where he was authorized to send a letter as the chair for the finance director to write a check to you and that not go through the budget committee process. That's what I was questioning.
All right, and I understand what you're...
Did anyone authorize him to write that letter?
The authorization and the way that the chairman took it was when it was being added on to provide the services, to pay for the months that were provided by me to the county. And that's where that came from. And that was the agreement of the price. And then there's a letter August 27th. Do you remember that letter that was sent out? I actually have copies here. They can basically break that down.
No, I think we're missing the point. Now, I want this behind us till we've got new committees in place. We have the chair and vice chair in place. We need to move past this whole thing. But what I asked was this question, and I still don't have the answer to it. Who authorized Jerry Pearman, as the chairman, to send a letter to Brad Burke, finance director, authorizing him to write a check to you as a bonus?
That one came from this meeting here, for the closure of the problem, the money that was granted to me under discussion. And when this was voted, and plus, as far
The
as.
question I'm asking is not here.
Well,
The answer is not here.
that meets the criteria of what you're asking, because you have to have something from the chair or from the director, which I could have wrote the letter. But
No, this is Chris, this is what I'm trying to say. To get this past us, we need, Mr. Pearman's not here to address this.
right,
And I'm sorry he's sick. But what he said at the closing part of that meeting last month, when I asked the question, do you have the minutes that authorize you to write this check? I mean, to approve his bonus. We have the minutes. And then the next thing that we see is this letter going to the finance director telling him to write a check. And Brad Burke stood up and said, I'm sorry, I should never have done that. And what I guess I'm trying to say is,
I think Mr.
we want to make sure that this
I think
commission
Mr. Burke was
approves.
more sorry that he changed from a payroll line item to a bonus line
It's
item.
two different issues though, Chris.
Sorry.
It's two different issues.
But it's
One
all-
is he did not have the authority, Mr. Pearman did not have the authority to write a letter to the finance director and tell him to write you a check for $14,000.
I think,
He doesn't have that authority. It has to go through the budget process. and
No,
the
it doesn't.
commission.
no, Ray, it doesn't.
Okay, you tell me why it doesn't.
It's because under the 81 Act, once a budget is approved, it is the sole discretion of the director to handle that money. I could have requested that money myself.
I think what,
I mean, I'm not trying to argue with it. I mean, I
I
understand.
don't want to argue. I want to put this to bed, put it to rest.
Right.
But I was hoping Jerry would be here, because I don't think he had the authority to write that letter backdoor to the finance director.
I don't think it was considered backdoor. It's always been front door.
No, it was not discussed in this meeting I've been in.
You weren't here, right?
I wasn't here for this one, but I was in a follow-up meeting where the minutes indicate that authorized a meeting with Brad Burke, with yourself.
That's on this year's budget.
I
That was this year's
I know that.
budget, not last year's.
Okay, I'm talking about last year's.
Huh?
The letter was pertaining to last year, right?
No, sir. That letter was pertaining.
Or either year. Let me say that, either year, he does not, how can he, as the chairman of this commission, the planning commission, send a letter with his signature on it, authorizing the finance director to write a $14,000 check? He doesn't have that authority.
same authority as an elected.
Our attorney says he does not have that authority. Our attorney says he does not have that authority. No, you can differ if you want to. I talked with him as well.
Well,
We need to put it behind us, but I was hoping that I would see something, authorize Jerry Pearman to write a letter to Brad Burke. That would be like any other director in the county sending a letter to Brad Burke saying, authorize Randall Jenkins $10,000 for the work that he did on Tin Ridge.
but you have had some from elected officials and different department heads that have done that.
But they're not chairmen. I mean, it'd be different if it came from you.
It could have came from them.
But it did. That's what my point is.
But if you look at the recent pay increases, it had to come from the chairman of that board. So the 3% that I got had to come from the chairman of the board to allow me to cut that. And that goes directly to finance.
I just asked the chairman of the Financial Management Committee, talked about the 81 Act. He agrees with me that it's a process. The 81 Act is clear about processes within the county government. You set up processes and you go through them. And no chairman, if you would chime in, I would appreciate it, Chairman Johnson. No chairman can write a letter authorizing payment to an employee from another department unless it goes through the process. What process?
If I give one of my employees a pay raise, I'll
That's
have
your
to send a
business. You
letter.
can do that.
All right? If,
That's within your department.
this year, per se, the 3.5% we had,
Yeah.
Jerry had to sign to allow me to have that. That's from the
The
director.
county commission approved that. That
And
3.5.
the county commission approved last year's budget also.
Yeah, but they did not approve. Listen.
I understand what
The
you're
county commission county commission cannot discuss individual employee salary per the 81 financial
Excuse me,
act.
sir, I'm talking to the director. Okay? And if I
This is the answer.
question, I'll have you to address it.
This is where it disseminated from. This is what it disseminated from. It went multiple letters to Mr. Burke. The final saying was make it as a bonus. That's what we did. We said it as a bonus, and a check was written. And that's where that comes
Who
from.
told you to send it as a bonus?
Out of the financial management office over there, Mr. Kennedy. Yes, sir, Mr. Kennedy.
I just think if it would have came permission from this board, it would have addressed it, just my opinion, they would have addressed it maybe to the whole planning office. You know, that everybody would have got a cut from that if it would have came from this board. Instead, it just came from one person from this board, is what I'm trying to say.
This is, and Mr. Acuff, Dr. Acuff made the motion, and if we can go by verbatim, Diane, do you still have that on the computer from the recordings?
It may still be on that one. I can put on the
I'll try to get you a verbatim recording of that.
The other thing that, Mr. Chair, that I would caution about us discussing this issue, we've done it ad nauseum. The commission has already made formal action on this particular issue. I think we're way off base. If the county attorney was here, he would say, if this is a possible legal issue, you shouldn't be talking about it.
And that's, I have the attorney keep saying that too, so that's the situation.
Well, I would say that the chair hasn't been brought up. And that's what we're bringing up right now.
Say again, I'm sorry.
The chair hasn't been brought up yet. And that's what we're talking about. The chairman, what I'm questioning, what Ray, I think, is questioning, is the letter wrote by the chair. And I don't think that has been brought
Do you
up.
want all those letters that were sent?
I don't know, I'd like to see them. I don't like, even if I did leave this meeting, which I did, that letter, I mean, it still doesn't state that we voted to have the chair send that letter. It doesn't say that in those minutes right there. Black and white, it doesn't say it. And that's what I'm upset about. That's
That
misread.
was the intention of the vote and the motion. Was, Dr. Griffin, you remember that part? And we will get it verbatim if you want, and I'll make sure. Mr. Johnson, you were getting ready to say something.
He's childish to me.
24 commissioners, you might aware of it, and the majority, and I'm going to say, is expected to see a single document give the authority to the chair. According to our 81 Act and to our rules and regulations of our commission, a chairman does not have sole authority for obligations of anything unless it is presented, debated, and approved by majority vote in the subcommittees. And what the majority of the commission is saying, show me where it went through your committee, giving him the authorization to straight a document.
So that's what we need at verbatim. I'll go ahead and have that, try to have that.
That's all the issue, and I think they're gonna beat that horse to death until it's done. Might as well just face it here, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I had no problem with it to stop here. I would really like for it to stop.
I know you.
I wish there was a better solution myself. The solution is not satisfying to me, but I'm just one vote. I think what Taylor, I think, other than that, stupid. But think about that. Before it's over here, we are going to spend more money to do what we've done if you had originally approved it.
Oh, I agree.
I'm just saying the requirement, but I can't conceive it. I'm not the brightest light bulb in the back, and I'm telling you, if I could figure it out, and 75% doesn't pass that, to look at the numbers and see what the activities are and what is being furnished and what is being accomplished to provide for additional services to our taxpayers and for the did. It really beats me how they can come up with anything other than that. It's ludicrous, but
I agree.
And we need, 14,000, Chris, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's history. What I'm hoping we can do is learn from this, and that is the chair trying to make sure that we're very specific in the future if we're dealing with money in terms of what we're talking about. That's all I'm trying to do. That's the only point I'm trying to make. And I understand the budgets and how those were changed around. That was a mistake on their part, I'm sure. Brad Burke has stood up and owned his mistake in full commission. I respected him for that. I think he realized he made a mistake by not doing or questioning that letter, giving him the authority to go ahead and write that. That's what I'm trying to make sure we don't do in the future. As far as I'm concerned, I don't need no more paper verbatim. I've got what I need. I don't need anything else.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to ask one question. And I'm probably out of order. I'd like to know who gave Brad Burke the authority to remove money from a budget. I'd like to know that question.
It's a question on both sides, I think, Ken. Yeah.
No, he removed it himself. I'd like to know who gave him the authority, other than him saying.
I'm saying there's two issues. One is, that's a great question. You're exactly right. But the other one I brought up is also a question. Two questions we need to get clear.
Yeah, but he's removing money that you all approved. And he's going back and removing this money.
And he also wrote a check, that shouldn't have been wrote, but on a letter.
Did you all not approve the budget?
Yeah, we approved the budget.
And then he took the money out of it. Who gave him the authority to remove that money from the budget?
But it wasn't me.
Did he put it in the
What he did, he put in a receivable line item.
But your budget, your bottom budget number did not change.
Exactly.
Okay.
I agree with
Financial
that.
director can, I'm not gonna say manipulate, but he can, in that budget, he can't take away from it. He can't add anything to it unless he has the
But now there's a
direction.
lot of difference, Brad, in moving money from a line item and removing it from a budget.
Yeah, I know, but.
Because if it's moved from a line item,
that takes money out of that line item that he cannot do.
Well, Ken, I think what Ken
If
made
you
is,
all put that in writing, ask them the question, submit it to me from financial management, I'll bring you that, we'll find out the legality and who has the responsibility, and if they have that responsibility, and if there has been a violation, and I'll be glad to address it for you and get an exact answer.
thank you, Brad, I'll
I
get
mean,
that.
that's the problem, just, submit it to me to work, it's not that I'm so official, it's just, I've got a chemo brain, I can't remember half of it, if you don't mind. And just give me direction, and I can put it in the minutes of my meeting.
So that's not on that same note, but on a different note, when do we vote for chair? Like, we just voted for chairs in all the other committees.
April again.
In April?
Yes, sir.
And that, too, see, the financial management committee, remember, we're the ones that regulates that finance department. The financial director is employed by our committee. Now, we hired him, we can make our recommendations to the floor if there is due cause to take corrective action. I mean, right down to a summary, to a letter of counseling, I mean, even the removals has to, that is our authority to do that, to make recommendations. And if I have enough of it, I can guarantee you, I'll be the first to dance on the floor before the chair. I mean, he's a great man, and he makes ours just like I do, but it's certain, too much is too much. And I'm grant you all handle it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Arnold.
Second.
Who made the second?
I made a second.
Oh, thank you. Second made by Mr. Lyons. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, see you next month. Mr. Chairman, that's unanimous.